Some of you probably watch Kevin Talbot's channel, lots of RC bashing and breaking radio controlled cars and fixing radio controlled cars. Some of you may have noticed that Kev doesn't seem to use a hammer, and I think part of the reason for that is because he doesn't have a suitable small hammer. So I've decided to make Kev a small hammer. Most of the parts on the car are fairly soft. I mean, there are hardened steel rods, but a lot of it's plastic and there's no need for a steel hammer there, so small brass hammer will do the job. And I will probably put a lead end into one end of it, so he's got two options: a soft lead hammer and a relatively soft brass hammer. I don't know what I've done with it now. Part of a school project to make a small steam engine piston. I didn't make this myself. It came out of the school skip. It has a hole down one end, which is ideal for putting the lead in. Solid at the other end, and there's plenty of meat on it. It's been soldered to this base plate, but I shall warm that up and break that off. Then I'm going to put this in the lathe, clean it up, turn it into a hammer, put some lead in it, put a handle on it, and then we'll give it to Kev, and hopefully, all being well, he will use it in his video. What I'm going to do is put this cylinder into here, fire up the old Bunsen burner, and we'll just heat it up until that drops off, hopefully. Yes. I am going to attempt to use my other Bunsen burner. If this little bad boy fails as well, then I may need to... It's actually a roofing torch, but I think it'll do the job. There we go. We'll soon clean that off, and then I'm going to fill it with lead anyway, as I say. So, job's a good one. I'm going to wind this this tap into there, not so that it's actually got a thread, no one cares about that, but I don't want my lead plug coming out of there, so should be able to see a whole load of brass filings come out of there, and that should stop the lead from dropping out, as I say, when Kev starts wailing on things. I need to get all this solder off of here. I'm going to shorten it a little bit because it's a little bit too long. Then I'm going to put it into here. Bit weird. When I put the lead in, I can make the lead the same diameter as this, even though it'll be a plug inside. Might not make sense at the moment, but it will do hopefully when you see it happen. So and we'll just skim the other side about the same. And I say I want to shorten this a little bit. So just so we understand what we're doing, I've got the a tube here threaded so that the lead won't fall out. This collar is nothing more than just a sleeve to go over the end of that, so that my lead plug will end up being the height of the entire thing here. And I've got a little bit of lead here which I'm going to melt into this, and all being well we'll end up with a nice little hammerhead starting to form itself. So next thing, heat it up, drop some lead in. Sorry we've missed it. There wasn't anything particularly exciting. All I did was warm this up and drop some lead in, and it melted. We missed it anyway. Sorry about that. Right, so I've cooled it off, and you can see there that the lead plug has stayed inside and the collar is relatively loose. Yep, that's going to work just fine, so I'll just knock that through. I didn't really want to have to do this, but I will. No, I won't do it. Hold on. A little bit of brass tube here. I'll just use that because it won't damage the end of the new hammer. We've got the lead plug there. As you can see, it is now lead at one end. It's actually lead all the way down inside there to about here somewhere. Gives it a nice little bit of weight as well. But this end is nice and soft, so I'm going to clean it up obviously, but it just means that when Kev starts beating things with it, this end should be a bit softer than this end. So not awkward getting the camera in. The camera's in, but now I can't get my hands in. It hasn't cleaned it all the way around, so I mean obviously it's because the lead has shrunk slightly. That looks a lot cleaner. pop that out of there. Oh, there is a little hammerhead. So we just need to drill a hole through it and put a handle in there of some sort. So probably do that on the milling machine. And once again, not going to worry too much about the centering of this because it's for Kev. Sorry, Kev. I'm going very slow on the RPM of the mill, so shouldn't be too vicious. Don't use this as an example of how to do things because this is not really the correct way to do things. Lead, extremely gummy. Not particularly nice stuff to machine at all. But I think we might be through. So all I'm going to do now is just give that a little bit of an extension so that hole is ever so slightly elongated. I think that'll do. There we go. So now there's a hole through the middle of that. This is a deburring tool, no handle on it, but you just run it round the inside of the hole here and do the same on the other side. That's essentially pretty much the head of the hammer made. Next job is a handle for it, so I think I'll find a suitable piece of wood. Found myself a suitable piece of wood. I think it was a wicket, you know, cricket wicket at one point. Maybe a child's one, because it's got a little dent in the top. That's just my theory, but it doesn't make any difference to anything. Just make it a little bit more hammer handle-like. We'll have a little look and see what we're looking at here. Near enough 8mm. That's what we're going to shoot for at the hammerhead end of it. Obviously the handle's going to have to be a little bit bigger than that, otherwise it's going to be a bit ridiculous. Probably just bring this whole shaft down just a touch and then we'll work on the end of it. Yeah, so she's not particularly happy at this end because we're so far out, so I might have to put a centre in there and bring a centre in. This point here, bosh that into the end. Once again, this is not an engineering job. Probably take it down a little bit in the middle, then we'll just taper it. Yeah, that's a little bit hammer-like. It's looking a lot nicer there. I'll turn that round, put it back in the chuck, and we'll sort out the end that's going to have the head on it. So next thing, I just need to establish exactly how long I want this thing to be. Looks about reasonable. There's my mark, so we'll wang it in there again. Might bring that centre back up. And then $10mm is probably going to be about right, because any more than that and we're going to end up a bit thin, so we'll do it again. And that'll do us. Tailstock out, spin it round, pop it back in. What we're going to do now is we're going to take the end here down to the right size for the head. Getting pretty thin, so I think we can probably wind that out. There we go. Little peg come off. Somewhere around 10. So I'm not going to go too much more on here. We'll take another millimetre. Could well be it. Yep, I'm calling it. It's just tight on there. And honestly, I think I'm going to leave it tight on there. So what I might do is